Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Season 9, Week number 4 of the Lions Den Quiz League. We are back after a very solid Week 3 where I finished in 6th place. Hoping to improve upon that. I was, 12th in Week 2 and 10th in Week 1, so hopefully I can get better than 6th. I think I do have a decent week here, but, I don't know for sure. I'm not going to know for sure until we see what the answers were, so let's get right into the quizzes, starting with number 1, which is all about 3-letter words. Number 1, the word avo means 1/100th of a pataka, the currency of what region? The pataka was first introduced in this region, and Timor, though Timor-Leste uses the dollar now. So this one kind of confused me, because I know that Timor-Leste used to be a Portuguese colony, so I'm thinking that this is some kind of Portuguese thing, because the words themselves also sound like they could be Portuguese. But the word region is like, it was kind of messing with me, right? Because it's like, okay, Portuguese colonies, you think Brazil or Mozambique, Angola, Cabo Verde, whatever, Sao Tome and Principe, Macau, Goa, right? That kind of stuff. So most of the ones I was thinking of weren't making any sense, right? Because Mozambique, Angola, etc., those would be referred to as countries. So I was like, region? Like, what does currency of a region mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that means. But then I thought of Macau, which I did just mention, and it kind of makes sense because Macau is, of course, officially a special administrative region of China. So technically, it is referred to as a region. And I can't think of anything better because anything else that used to be Portuguese would not be referred to as a region. So I think I have to say Macau here. But the wording was a little bit confusing to me there because it was like, what on earth can this even be? What is currency of a region? What does that even mean? Anyway, question 2. The word faz is the plural of fa, the fourth note in the solfege scale, the beginning of the main melody of what frequently played piece of music taken from the opera Lohengrin by Richard Wagner is often used as an example of a perfect fourth interval. That melody begins with a singular note, followed by the note a fourth above it, repeated 3 times. So, this description made me think of the thing that they play at weddings, right? I think it's like I want to say it's called the wedding march. The thing where, like, the bride walks or whatever, and it's like do 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 do, like that thing, basically. So I hope it's just that thing. I think it's called the wedding march. I'm not totally sure about that, but it sounds right to me. So yeah, and I guess the fas, I guess the triple repeated note is probably fa, because that's why there are multiple fas. But yeah, I don't really know, but I think this is what's going on. So hopefully I don't have the complete wrong thing. Question 3, on the Collins Dictionary website, the definition for the word lun redirects users to the definition for lun yu, also known as the Analects, written by what man? This is Confucius. Analects of Confucius is just a thing, I guess. That's just the name of the thing that he wrote or compiled. Question 4, the word MOS is an abbreviation for a metal oxide silicon. It is a part of the abbreviation MOSFET, which refers to a type of what electronic devices. These 3 terminal devices are essential for their applications in modern computing. So I have no idea what this is. I mean, I thought of semiconductor, which obviously that's a thing that's useful in computers, but semiconductors are like materials, right? They're like, a semiconductor is like a thing that like conducts things and also doesn't conduct things, I guess. I don't know how it works specifically, but it's kind of like, I feel like it doesn't make sense because 3 terminal devices sounds like it's referring to something more specific than that rather than like a general type of thing. So I feel like it doesn't make any sense. So basically, I don't know. I'm going to say that it's a chip. Computer chip is a thing. Does a chip have 3 terminals in it? I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, that's just what I'm going to go for because I got nothing better. Question 5. The word uwu is a text expression used to indicate cuteness. You might find people saying uwu under posts about what character seen below a singing avatar developed for use in the Vocaloid series of synthesizer software. Yeah, I mean, I thought I had no idea on question 4, but I really have no idea on question 5. I'm going to say Naomi because this is a Japanese name. And it's clearly like an anime character. But I just don't have any idea what this is. I have seen this character before, I think. Like, I feel like this looks somewhat familiar, but there's no way I'm ever pulling the name. Question 6. The word Zin is short for Zinfandel, a variety of what fruit? It is better known for the products made from the fruit than as the fruit itself. This is a grape because Zinfandel is a famous type of wine. So, as for what to enhance, I think I'll go with 3, honestly, because I don't feel good about 4 and 5. 2, I think, is probably fairly easy if I even have it right. Number 1, again, probably on the easier side just because of this being a geography audience, but I might be wrong about that one. That one could actually be a bit harder, and then I think Zinfandel is just a little too well known. So 3 it is, and we will see. Grapes. Are you serious? Bridal chorus? Bro, I thought it was called the Wedding March. Is it not called the Wedding March? Bro, what's the Wedding March? Isn't that a thing? Oh, that's tough, dude. I have to assume that my answer is wrong. I mean, I knew what it was talking about. Maybe I should have just said the thing where the bride walks to, but I thought it was called the Wedding March. Dude, that's so annoying. Okay. I think that's wrong. Macau is right, Confucius is right, and then grapes. 3 out of 6. Hatsune Miku. I've actually heard that before. Like, I don't know where I've heard that or in what context, but like I have actually heard that name. So that's a little tough, but I don't feel that bad. Like I'm still not gonna get it, so it's fine. And then transistors is just unfortunate. I mean, I don't really know what a transistor is if I'm being 100% honest, but apparently it's a thing that has 3 ports or terminals or whatever the heck it said. So 3 out of 6. Bit of a tough start, but that was also a bit of a tough quiz. So let's move to quiz 2. Beatrix Potter wasn't just a children's author. She was also a noted scientific illustrator and mycologist, having ghostwritten papers submitted to the Linnaean Society, meaning she studied organisms within what taxonomic kingdom? So mycology, I believe, is the study of fungi, like mycorrhizae, or like those like root like fungus things on trees or whatever. The myco, I just associate myco with fungi. I'm pretty sure that mycology is fungi. Really hope I'm not wrong, but I think that that's what's going on. Question 2. Jean-Jacques Rousseau wasn't just a political philosopher. He was also a prolific composer who's, by the way, how the hell is this word pronounced in English? Like, genuine question. How am I supposed to say this? Like, is it Irv? Is it Uver? Is it Oeuvre? Is it Oeuvre? Like, like it's oeuvre, but like, how the hell is this said in English? I've seen this word written in English like 20 times, probably, at least, right? This is a word that people use relatively often. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it. Like, how is this supposed to be said? Somebody please let me know in the comments. I have no idea. Anyway, included a melodrama named after what mythological sculptor? A different play named after this figure was written by an Irish playwright who also doubled as a spelling reform advocate. So the most famous mythological sculptor is probably Pygmalion. And, well, a play named after Pygmalion written by an Irish playwright, which, well, it's George Bernard Shaw, so it makes perfect sense. Question 3. William Marston wasn't just the inventor of the polygraph. He also created what comics character who hails from the island of Themyscira and was designed to triumph, not with fists or firepower, but with love. Not sure, but my best guess here is Wonder Woman, because I'm pretty sure she comes from an island. Like, I saw the Wonder Woman movie from like 20, what was it, 17, 18, something like that. And she definitely was on an island at the beginning. So I think it makes sense, but I think all the cluing makes sense, but it could obviously just be something completely different. I don't know anything about superheroes. Question 4. Bridget Mendler isn't just a pop singer and former Disney actress. She's also the CEO of Northwood Space, a startup building ground stations for satellite communication. Her company's biggest push into public consciousness was from an article in what business-focused news agency run by and named for a former mayor of New York City. I'm going to have to assume that this is Bloomberg. Okay, I'm going to have to cut the video there because for some reason I accidentally clicked like tab on the keyboard and then it went up and revealed the stuff at the top. So whoops. Anyway, as I was saying, Michael Bloomberg was mayor of New York for some time. The only other person I can name who was mayor of New York is Rudy Giuliani and I guess like Eric Adams. But I'm pretty sure those are wrong. And Bloomberg is definitely a corporation, and I think it's a news thing as well. I think it just makes perfect sense. So I'm pretty sure that this is Bloomberg. Question 5. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar isn't just an athlete, he is also an accomplished writer with several books on black history and a mystery novel titled For What Character? In his original 1893 appearance, he was first encountered at the Diogenes Club by his brother, who enjoys active fieldwork more than this character. So the Diogenes Club is a thing from Sherlock Holmes. So this is presumably Mycroft Holmes, the brother of Sherlock, because Sherlock would be the one who enjoys active fieldwork more than Mycroft. Question 6. Name the chemist who, after studying X-ray crystallography under Dorothy Hodgkin at Oxford in the 1940s, would keep a portrait of Hodgkin on the wall while occupying a more notable non-scientific position from 1979 to 1990. This was an interesting one because I'm still not sure that my answer is correct, but I feel like it makes a lot of sense. The person I thought of was Margaret Thatcher. I had no idea that she was a chemist, if this is even right, but 79 to 90 sounds about right for the time that she served as prime minister. Maybe it's too long. I don't know. I don't know how long PMs are allowed to serve, but she was definitely PM in the 80s. So I think that it works. And I mean, non-scientific position kind of immediately made me think it was maybe a political thing. So it kind of just fits, I think. It totally could be wrong, but it's like British person in the 80s who held a non-scientific position. Like, it just kind of sounds like Margaret Thatcher. So hopefully that is what's going on. And yeah, as for what to enhance, I don't know. I might go with Mycroft, honestly, because I feel like this isn't... I feel like that's not that obvious. Like, Diogenes Club, like, that's not a super well-known thing, I don't think, and it doesn't say anything about it being Arthur Conan Doyle or anything like that, so... yeah. Oh, but it does... Wait, it says mystery, though. I didn't realize it said mystery in the question. Okay, that is maybe an issue, because that's going to point people towards Sherlock Holmes. But the question is, do people know the name of his brother? Like, how famous is that? I don't know. Like, is the Pygmalion one harder? I don't feel good enough about Thatcher to enhance that. Is the Pygmalion one harder? I don't know. It says Irish, but like, again, maybe that's... I don't know. I don't know. Man, this is actually kind of tough. I think I'm going to leave it on 5. I'm not sure. But I feel like knowing Mycroft's name is not trivial, so... we will see if that is a mistake. Do these count? I'll go with no. Okay. That was the correct answer. It is Margaret Thatcher. Nice. Okay, that's 6 out of 6. We take those. No idea if enhancing Mycroft was the correct play there, but I mean, yeah, I think it makes sense. But it's just, I don't know. It might have been a mistake. I have no idea how easy that is. Like, I just don't. Maybe everyone in the world has seen the BBC Sherlock, so it's like super free. I honestly have no idea, but to me it seems at least relatively difficult, but I may be wrong. Quiz 3. The iconic line, "Nobody puts baby in a corner," is spoken near the end of what movie? Shortly after that line is spoken, this movie's male lead lifts the female lead above his head, where she stays with arms and legs outstretched after she runs at him. Pretty sure this is Dirty Dancing. There's a scene from, I think it's like Crazy Stupid Love, where like Ryan Gosling does this to Emma Stone, but I'm pretty sure it's from Dirty Dancing. I've never seen that movie. And I couldn't tell you a thing about what it's about, but this is like a really famous scene. It's like I've had the time of my life or whatever. Anyway, yeah, I think that's what's going on. Question 2, a 1999 debut album and its title track both had their title altered to begin with the word baby after executives were worried about the implications of the title out of context. What 2 words were removed from the title of the album and song? Presumably Hit Me. Hit Me Baby One More Time. I know that song is technically called Baby One More Time, which is kind of, I guess, counterintuitive, but it makes perfect sense. If the words hit me were removed, I get it, right? I mean, worried about the implications, like that just kind of makes sense. So this is almost certainly the correct answer. Question 3, the episode Baby, in which Sam and Dean Winchester fight and defeat a group of vampire-like creatures called Nachrazers, was a part of what TV show, or which TV show? This TV show, which aired on the CW for most of its 15-season run, fittingly saw the brothers fight a multitude of monsters and otherwise spooky creatures and phenomena. I don't know, man. Like, I haven't even thought of a guess for this, because it's just like, I'm not going to know what this is, like, at all. Um, I'm gonna say. I mean, I thought about this for a while, and I was like, I just straight up have no idea what this is. So I'm gonna say Ghouls, because surely that is a TV show that exists. I don't know, but I don't care, man. I just have no clue. I'm not gonna get this right. Question 4: What rapper was featured on the Justin Bieber song "Baby"? This man's crazy breadth of work includes his own distinguished music career, as well as a supporting role in 6 of the Fast and Furious movies. Comma. This is Ludacris. Baby featuring Ludacris. I don't know. It's like whatever. Most disliked video on YouTube. I just like in my head I just have Baby featuring Ludacris. Like I don't think I've ever listened to that song in full before. But I just know it has Ludacris in it. Question 5: The Simpsons short "Hex in the City," in which the baby Maggie Simpson is transformed into a ladybug after Homer is cursed by a fortune teller, is part of what recurring series of standalone Halloween episodes within the Simpsons universe? This is called Treehouse of Horror. And finally, question 6: Name either the actress who won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her leading role in the film Million Dollar Baby, or the artist whose song Million Dollar Baby peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100 chart in 2024. This is good old Ava Max. I have no idea what the first one is. And the first one's probably easier than Ava Max, but I just happen to know some of Ava Max's discography, so it works. It doesn't matter how you get them. And I'm going to enhance that one because I think that that's actually pretty hard. Unless the first clue is super easy, which it might be. But yeah, unfortunately, I just don't know. So I can't say, can I? But this is honestly, I think, very good for a pop culture quiz. I think I have 5 out of 6 here. I don't think 3 is right, but the rest should be right. So definitely an above average performance when it comes to pop culture. Oh. Oh, that's tough. Wow. Wow. Shit. Okay. Well, you got me. Supernatural. I've heard of that. I didn't know what it was about. That's fine. It's not Ava Max. Well, that's super tough. Who the hell is Tommy Richmond? How is it not Ava Max? Are you kidding me, bro? There's a song called Million Dollar Baby by Ava Max. Like, are you kidding me? I thought that was right for sure. Wow. I think that might be the first time I've enhanced something and got it wrong. Maybe that's not true, but man, I usually only enhance things when I feel really confident about it. What the hell? I really thought that was right. That's kind of crazy. Maybe it wasn't 2024. I feel like it was though. Maybe it was 23, but that's nuts, dude. That's super tough. Okay. Damn. Got me. Got me. Ouch. That hurts. Quiz 4. The Dutch artist Rachel Ruysch was best known for what genre of painting, such as the one pictured? I imagine you are going for still life because it's just a picture of like a thing on a table. Or a painting, rather. Question 2. Name the type of flower used to brew this shining, shimmering cup of tea. Shining, shimmering, splendid. Presumably it's jasmine. Thank you for that cheeky clue. The little Aladdin clue. Question 3. The hybrid Bauhinia x Blakana flower pictured is most notable for being a symbol of what territory? All right. So this one's driving me crazy because like I have an answer, but I don't feel very good about it because I'm metagaming the quizzes, and I don't know why you would put a Macau question right with a Hong Kong question in the same week, and you would refer to Macau as a region and then refer to Hong Kong as a territory. That's like, I don't know. That feels kind of iffy to me. But I was trying to think of like, what's a territory, right? Something that's not a country that is represented by a flower. And I was like, I mean, Hong Kong just makes sense. It has a flower on its flag. And I think it is some kind of orchid. I think, which is what this flower looks like. My other thought was Singapore, because I know I think the national flower of Singapore is an orchid too. But Singapore's not a territory. Like, it's pretty unambiguously a country or city, but not territory. So I'm going to say Hong Kong for this. But why is there a Macau question than a Hong Kong? What if the answer is Macau? Surely not, right? But Macau has a flower on its flag too. So Like, that would be super wild. That surely isn't the answer, but Hong Kong still feels weird, right? Like, I'm worried that there's something I'm not thinking of because it's like Macau, the region, Hong Kong, the territory in the same week is like, I don't know, but maybe. Question four. Name is 2019 film or its director, whose surname is a flower. This is Midsommar. I don't know how to. Is it like Sumar? I don't. I don't. The letter O is weird in Scandinavian languages. I feel like it's sometimes it's like O and sometimes it's like U, and it's kind of. I'm not really sure what the rule is for when it's what, but I don't know. Midsommar is what I'll say, I guess. But or maybe I should just say midsummer. Question five: the color variation of these hydrangeas is determined by what specific quantity? I don't know what the hell's going on here. Like, how? I mean, my first thought was like sunlight, right? Like amount of sunlight or something. But that seems weird because it's like they really are purple, blue, purple, blue. So it's like it, the sunlight seems like it's relatively evenly dispersed here. So I really don't think that differing amounts of sunlight would cause differences this large in the colors of the flowers. So, I was thinking about it for a while and I was like, what could you do to flowers to make them look different? And I was like, I mean, you water them, right? So I'm gonna say it's the water, and I'm gonna say it's the pH of the water because I don't know. I was trying to think of what characteristics could you change about water, right? And it's like I guess pH is just kind of the first chemical property that comes to mind when it's like how could different types of water be different? Um, so it's a complete guess. This is probably completely wrong, but I can't think of anything else that you could do to flowers. Like what else do you do? Like you water them, right? And they grow when you water them. So I feel like this has to be a consequence of that probably, but I don't know. I have no idea. I thought about this for a while, but it's like I feel like you just kind of have to know this or you don't, and it's like if you don't know it you're going to have some trouble guessing it. So anyway, question 6. This shade of blue is named after what flower, which gets its name because it often grows as a weed among a certain staple crop. I think that cornflower blue is a thing. Like I've heard the phrase cornflower blue before. And it makes sense. Staple crop, corn, right? I mean, corn flour. I mean, if you asked me what a cornflower was, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. But I'm pretty sure that cornflower blue is a shade of blue. So I'm going with that. But I'm not super confident that it's actually the right thing. Maybe I'm just, just completely mocking it. But as for what to enhance, well, I don't know, honestly, because I really don't know because I feel like Midsummer is quite well known. Hong Kong, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, I have this sneaking suspicion that that's wrong. I don't like it enough to enhance it. Jasmine feels easy. Still Life feels easy. And then these last two, I don't feel that good about them. I mean, 6 is probably right, right? I mean, it grows as a weed among a certain staple crop, right? Certain staple crop. So they say certain staple crop in the question, but they very deliberately don't name it, right? I mean, it's not going to be a potato flour or a wheat flour. I mean, a corn flour, like cornflower blue. I'm going with it. Like I've heard this phrase before. I know this exists. I feel like this has to be right. But I might also just be trolling, and I'm going to get uh, 2 enhances wrong in a row. But whatever, man. I'll take that risk. Cornflower, let's go. pH of the soil. Are you serious? The pH of the soil? And I said the pH of the water. No way, bro. No way. I mean, I guess that makes sense too. I was kind of thinking, what do you do to make flowers grow? Like, what would make them grow in different ways? And I guess I just thought it was going to be the watering. I mean, the pH of the soil. I guess that fits too. That fits too. I didn't even think about that, but that's valid. I'm assuming I won't get credit for that. But Hong Kong is correct. So bit weird with the Macau plus Hong Kong, but like fine, I guess. And then the rest was right. So 5 out of 6 is fine. I will take that. Still a solid result. The number 5 is a bit unfortunate though. How are we doing time-wise? It is 39. It should be fine. Okay. Man, I'm not... Do I need to adjust the thing? I feel like I'm kind of low. All right. Anyway. Quiz 5. By some metrics, the largest regular human migration is the Chunyun, a travel rush in East Asia where hundreds of millions of people travel back to their hometowns to celebrate a festival marking what time period? I have to assume this is Chinese New Year. I mean, time period, like, right? I mean, it's Chunyun is clearly Chinese, and I know that there's like an ancestors festival is a thing, but that's not a time period. And otherwise, I don't know any Chinese festivals named after time periods, so I gotta go with that. Question 2: a route that starts in Somport or Sompa, I guess, and traverses cities including Logroño, Burgos, and Ponferrada makes up the French Way, which is the most popular out of the many routes that lead, presumably, to Santiago de Compostela. This is the Camino de Santiago, which is the famous Christian pilgrimage. Question 3: in season 6, we learned that the most popular flight route is between Seoul and Jeju. The most popular flight route outside of Asia is between which two cities that are the two largest in their country? Neither is a capital, but the 700-kilometer-long path southwest from the more populous to the less populous one roughly passes over the capital. I have to say, I am really glad that Montreal does not have as many people as Toronto does, because I thought of Toronto and Montreal for this, and I was like, yeah, the flight from Toronto to Montreal, or vice versa, Montreal to Toronto, would pass at least reasonably close to Ottawa. I don't have a perfect sense for where Ottawa is, but I know it's between the two, and I think it's fairly close to being along that path. So, honestly, if it didn't say from the more populous one to the less populous one, I would have not even given it a second thought, and I think I would have just said Montreal and Toronto. But I thought about it more, and I realized it is probably instead Sydney and Melbourne, which, yeah, I mean, maybe 700 kilometers is too long for Canada, but I don't know. Like, I feel like Montreal and Toronto are pretty far away from each other, so I feel like that could make sense. Anyway, Sydney and Melbourne, I think, makes more sense. Sydney has more people than Melbourne, so it should work. We're outside of Asia, two largest in the country. Neither is the capital. It all just kind of checks out, and they would pass, of course, over Canberra. Question 4: rising sea levels threaten tens of thousands in the Sundarbans, as many are forced to relocate inland due to sunken islands. The Sundarbans are the world's largest example of a type of ecosystem defined by what kind of tree? This is, I think, a mangrove or mangroves. Those are just the sort of marsh trees with those like kind of snaking branches that go down into the water. You know what I'm talking about. Or you don't. If you don't, look up the Sundarbans because they're super cool. It's a very, very interesting and beautiful ecosystem. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that these are mangroves. Question 5: the Caminos de Peabiru, an ancient 4,000-kilometer long trail connecting the Andes to the Atlantic, is thought to have held spiritual significance primarily among the Incas and what indigenous group? Along with the Tupi, they name a language family from which words like jaguar, capoeira, and tapioca derive. I have no idea what's going on here. So this is weird because I feel like I should know this, but I think this is like a Brazilian thing. Because capoeira and tapioca, those are things that I associate with Brazil. I don't know if that's correct to do that or if that's erroneous, but I can't name an indigenous group from Brazil. Like, and I think that's just a skill issue. So this is probably, it might just be something I haven't heard of or something I forgot that I had heard of. But I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking we're going from the Incas through from the Andes through like the Amazon, I guess, but I can't name an Amazonian. I can name an Amazonian indigenous group, and I'm going to put it the Shuar, but I don't think they're Brazilian, and I think that we're looking for something that's Brazil because I think like capoeira specifically, I think that's a Brazilian thing. I could be wrong. The Shuar they're just the ones in, I think they're in like Ecuador and Peru, and they're known for like shrinking heads, like the shrunken heads thing is like them. And they're in the Amazon, so I think it makes sense, but it's just like, not only are they like really obscure, I think, but also I don't know. I don't feel good about this. I'm just not sure that that's what's going on, but I can't think of what else it would be. So I'm just going to go with this and be wrong. Question 6: Norwegian humanitarian Fridtjof Nansen is the namesake of a type of what kind of item? that he promoted following the Soviet Union's mass 1921 revocation of citizenship for Russians living abroad. Today, use of these items is not required within an area named for a town in southeast Luxembourg. The area is the Schengen area, in which you do not need a passport to cross between countries. So, I'm going to say, I don't know. I'm going to go with mangroves. I think that's not super easy. I think that Sydney Melbourne is very figure outable if you think about it for a bit. Santiago is just, there's a lot of Europeans playing this. I feel like that's really famous there. Chinese New Year feels very gettable. Passport is super gettable. And then 5 is just wrong, I think. So yeah, we'll go with 4. We counting those ones? Yes, we are. Okay, spring except New Year. Okay, that's fine. That's a little scary, but that's fine. Santiago de Compostela, Sydney and Melbourne, mangroves, Guarani. Guarani? What? The hell? Aren't they in Paraguay? Why are we in Paraguay? I thought we were in the Amazon. Oh, well, I had the complete wrong idea of where we were. What? How far south did the Inca go? I guess, were they in Chile and Argentina? Maybe they were. I think I so strongly associate the Incas with like Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador that I didn't even think that we would ever be that far south. I mean, the Guarani makes sense. They're much more well known, and they're found in Paraguay, which is like east of the Andes. And I mean, I guess they're close to Brazil, and there are probably a lot of Guarani in Brazil as well. So it kind of fits, doesn't it? Plus, the continent is kind of thinner down there, so it also makes sense. But I just thought I had this idea of like, oh, we're starting in like Peru or Ecuador, we're going through the Amazon and up to like the north coast. So I just thought we had to be in the Amazon. So that's a complete misplay from me there. That's unfortunate, but yeah, I guess I didn't think that the Inca were that far south, but that is on me. Okay, 5 out of 6. Again, that's fine. I'll take it. Quiz 6. Still doing fine time-wise. Okay. Unable to flee Paris because the city gates were closed, members of what religious group were forced to hide to avoid being killed in the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre? These are the Huguenots, or Huguenots. They are, well, I don't know. They're just the people who were killed in this massacre because they couldn't flee Paris. I mean, this is just, I don't know. This is just a thing. Original language term required, thankfully, because I don't know what other term I would refer to them by, but yeah, this is definitely the original language term. Question 2. Bulgarian playwright and defector Georgy Markov was assassinated in 1978 by a killer who used a modified version of what usually non-lethal device to stab Markov, delivering a hidden poisonous pellet. I have no idea. I mean, I've never heard of this. I'm going to say it is a pen. Because, I don't know, that feels like something you could kill somebody with feasibly, even if it's, yeah, well, it's usually non-lethal. So it makes sense, but there are a lot of things that could make sense. So, yeah, I don't know. Never heard of it. Question 3. Despite the story being popular and pervasive, there is not sufficient evidence to suggest that what objects were used as coded communication tools for escaped slaves looking to hide while using the Underground Railroad. Apocryphally, designs in these objects would indicate things like food being nearby. These stories are likely untrue, but there is a strong tradition of black people making these objects in America for centuries. So I thought about this for a bit. Best thing I came up with was quilts. I know that there's definitely a strong African-American quilt making tradition, so I think that that part of the clue makes a lot of sense. And again, it kind of makes sense, like communicating using a piece of fabric. Like I think it seems reasonable, but again, there's, I'm sure, other possible answers here that might be right, but I feel decent about this one at least. Question 4. What was the regnal name of the King of Denmark during World War II, under whose reign the Danish people were able to hide most of the country's Jews and provide them transport to other countries? An earlier king of this name founded the city of Oslo. So this should be Christian. Oslo is formerly known as Christiania. And then, I mean, I don't know. I was in Oslo and Copenhagen for about a week last year before I went to Stockholm. And we went to the Akershus Fortress in Oslo. We went to the Rosenborg Castle in Denmark, and we heard a lot about Christian. I think it was Christian the Fourth was the big one. But anyway, we went out. We did like guided tour type stuff. So we heard a lot about the history, and yeah, Christian was definitely the name of of the dude. Plus, again, Christiania is just the old name for Oslo. Question 5. On June 3rd, the ICC Appeals Court will issue a ruling on whether the court may confirm charges against which man or what man, which would be unusual as this man is still a fugitive. This leader of the Lord's Resistance Army has been in hiding for 2 decades, during which time he is alleged to have committed a number of crimes against humanity. This is, I believe, Joseph Kony, who is, I mean, yeah, he was the Uganda like exploitation of children guy. I mean, I don't know much about what it was. I didn't. I wasn't super tuned into the news back in 2012 or whatever it was, but I'm pretty sure that the Lord's Resistance Army is the Uganda thing. So I think that this is indeed Kony. Finally, question 6. A 40-foot tall statue shaped like what animal stands in the Turkish city of Çanakkale, about a 30-minute drive north of the Hisarlik Mound? So Hisarlik is Troy. That is the modern Turkish name for the site of Troy, or what is believed to be ancient Troy. So presumably a large statue of a horse near Troy, or of an animal near Troy, would be a horse, because, you know, the Trojan horse. And, yeah, that's that, really. I don't know what to enhance here, actually. I think I'll enhance Kony. I feel like European stuff is just generally more known by people. I feel like this, it doesn't tell you that it's Africa. It doesn't tell you that it's Uganda. Like, this still isn't an easy question. And I think that people just know, like, Huguenots and Christian. I feel like that's just more known by the demographic of people who are playing this quiz. So I'm going to go with 5, but who knows? And the same deal with the Troy thing. All right, Huguenots, umbrella. That's wild. I wouldn't have guessed that. Okay. Quilts, Christian, Kony, horse. 5 out of 6 again. I mean, I'm doing well. I'm doing quite well. The Ava Max thing is super unfortunate, but other than that, I am having a very solid week, so I am not gonna complain. And finally, we have a religion quiz, but thankfully it's diverse enough that I'm going to do okay with it. If it was like 6 questions on Christianity, I would be screwed, but thankfully it's not that. When praying the rosary, Catholics recite what prayer before each set of 10 Hail Marys? Like many prayers, this prayer is often referred to by its first words. The prayer can be found below with the first line removed. I'm going to say the Lord's Prayer. Why? Because I can't name another prayer. I straight up cannot name another prayer. So the Lord's Prayer is a thing. I don't know what it is. It might be this thing. Hopefully it's this thing. It's probably not this thing. But I got nothing else. Many Hebrew blessings and prayers start with what 3-word phrase, which translates as "Blessed are you, Lord"? This is insane. I have no idea what this is. Like, this seems like really, really difficult. But I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe this is just a thing that people know. If you're Jewish, you probably know it. If you're not, maybe you know it anyway. I certainly don't. I mean, I don't even have a guess for this. I'm contemplating just leaving it blank. Because, well, I mean, what's the? I mean, it's gonna sound bad if I like just guess random Hebrew words. Like, right? How do you even say Lord in Hebrew? Is it Yahweh? Is that a Hebrew thing? Oh my lord. But the other words I have in my head are like Shabbat Shalom, which is like not what this is, right? Like that's not what this means. I don't know Hebrew phrases, bro. Uh bro, what the hell? I'm gonna write it. Okay, please don't come after me for this. Like, I know this is wrong, okay? I mean, I could just leave this blank. Maybe it's more politically correct for me to leave this blank. I don't know, man. I'm just guessing Hebrew words. If this is even a Hebrew word. I don't know, man. I have no idea. But please go easy on me. I have no idea what this is. I want to guess something because I feel like it's just, you know, it's a habit and it's good to guess something because you might end up being right even when you think you're wrong, but it's like in this case, it's like, I don't know how you're supposed to guess this unless you just know the thing. So this is just kind of a rough one. Anyway, companies including Google have built Qibla Finder applications for Muslims who have to pray while out and about. What does the Qibla indicate? It is the direction to Mecca. The app presumably just is like a compass thing. It's just like Mecca is that way. So like face your rug or whatever that way, or I guess there doesn't have to be a rug probably, but well, the point being, you're supposed to pray in the direction of Mecca. Question 4. What Sanskrit term refers to the phrases, words, or syllables that are repeated during Hindu worship? These things, which may not have any linguistic meaning, are also utilized during other spiritual exercises, including meditation. So I think that this is just like a mantra. I think this is what the word mantra means. I could be wrong. I am often wrong about such things. But, you know, I think it makes sense. I want to say that that's what this is. Question 5. The Egyptian goddess Bastet, or just Bast, worshipped as protector of the home and bringer of good health, had the head of what animal? Egyptians held these animals as sacred, believing them to be Bastet's physical form. These are cats. Yeah, Bastet, or Bast, is just known as the cat goddess, basically. Question 6. During Hellenistic worship, it is customary to start rituals that use burnt offerings by giving an offering to what goddess of the hearth? This goddess is... God, I can't even read anymore. This goddess is sometimes referred to as first and last, since she was the first god swallowed by Kronos, and the last one regurgitated by him. Goddess of the hearth in Greek myth is Hestia. And I think that I will enhance Hestia, honestly, because I feel like as Greek myth goes, that's not super easy. And the rest of this, 2 is just wrong. 1 is probably wrong. 3 feels guessable, even if you don't know it directly. 4 just feels gettable. 5 feels gettable. I think I have to go with 6. So we're going to go with 6. Okay, that'll do. Hestia, cats, mantras, Mecca, our Father, or the Lord's Prayer. Hell yeah, let's go. Name the one prayer you know. Baruch Ata Adonai. That is insane. Like, am I under a rock, or is that going to have like a 5% get rate? Because that seems insane to me. That seems so difficult, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I guess if you're Jewish, you probably know it. So maybe more than 5% of the people playing this quiz are Jewish. Or again, maybe you just know things about religion and that's easy and I'm just like out of the loop. But either way, that is it for quiz number 7. That is it for the week. I can't speak anymore, so I'm glad it's the end of the video. But yeah, it's 3 minutes till the deadline, so I will pause the recording and I will be right back once we know where I placed. All right, so here are the final week results. I finished in 5th place. If I hadn't screwed up the whole enhancing situation on quiz number 3, I would have been top 3 at least, which is unfortunate, but hey, that's the way it goes, isn't it? I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, I'll take 5th place. Still my best finish of the season. There are still no overall standings, but yeah, still doing pretty darn well, I would say. So congrats to Can Opener and Can, Bugtown Cowboy, and Wiggy for the top 3 finishes on the week. But yeah, I am perfectly happy with how this went. I scored at least 4 on every quiz. Yeah, so yeah, not so bad in the end. Not so bad. So yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you all for watching as always. Appreciate the continued support. Thank you to Benny and Looney for another great week of quizzing. And I'll see you soon for week number 5. Until then.